And then,
then 29 struck, and you were like, I got to change this.
Yep. I started, and when I started working at Ticketfly is around when I started comedy. Yeah. And I went to that open mic. I just had so much to get off my chest. And
what was that drive like? That's a long drive over the bridge, right?
Yeah. It took Bart. I don't think I had a car at the time.
You had to like really go out of your way to do this. Were you like stressing it? Were you excited for it?
Totally stressing it. For a week, I couldn't concentrate at work.
Even a week out you had planned it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I couldn't concentrate at work.
It must be
I was like
paralyzing
nauseous every day, thinking like, oh, in 5 days I'm going to talk in front of a group of people. I lost sleep. Like, it was really, really bad. And I had a friend kind of bully me into it because she knew I had been writing some jokes. And
these bullies these days.
Yeah, a good bully. And she wanted to try it. And she's like she's sort of a muse. Like, she's like a phase friend, you know? She's like into stuff really hardcore for like 6 months. And then moves on to the next thing. And God bless those people in our lives, you know? I wouldn't be doing comedy without her. I mean, I think they get a bad rap a lot of time. People will be like, oh, that's a flaky person or you have no commitment. But it's like, she literally just shepherded me into my huge life change because she was like, I don't know, it's like if you know someone who thinks it's no big deal, like, yeah, just whatever, just like tell jokes in a laundromat, like who cares, you know? And then she did it for 6 months and moved on to the next thing.
That's great. I like that kind of lifestyle.
And it's like,
I'm envious of that.
She's an angel, really, to me.
Yeah. So you went out there with her?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, she signed me up, and she was like, no going back. Like,
how many fear peas did you take?
So many, like diarrhea for sure.
Oh, fear dumping. You were fear dumping.
Well, it's so funny because this laundromat, the Brainwash, it's where a lot of people go up first. So like Moshe Kasher, Emily Heller, Marcella, like there's all these people that started in the Bay that's everyone's first mic.
Yeah.
Like that's where you go.
Yeah. And
he lets women sign up first. So like Janine Brito, like all these people, you know Brainwash. They don't always like sing its praises as much as I do, probably. But they had 2 bathrooms at the laundromat, and they always smelled like shit because everyone was taking nervous shits before the mic. Everyone.
That's so great.
And yeah, it was a nightmare. And then it was over before I knew it.
Really?
It sounded like people laughed.
Oh, you don't remember? You kind of blacked out?
I was totally blacked out, but I registered later that there had been like noise coming from people's faces.
It's groans.
Yeah. And it's a very welcoming mic. Like the guy who hosted, it's always been the same dude.
A lot like me. See what I did there?
He wanted women to keep coming back because, you know, a lot of women start comedy.
Yeah.
Tons and tons. And they do it for a few months because it's just gross and horrible early on.
Right.
And people are creepy. So he was like, come back. Like, you
right
have
after he said that?
here. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
He says that to a lot of women.
Sure.
But it was like, it was
it's
what
nice
I needed.
to hear. Yeah, like you said earlier. It's nice to hear that stuff.
Yeah. And I found a community of people there. And that was like, David Bory started around the same time. And
that's an unfortunate
Clara Kane. You know, all these people that are doing really well now.
So once you did it the first time, was it something where you were like, you got a high from it, or were you still reluctant each time to do it?
I was reluctant for years. Probably 2 full years. I felt like shitting every time I had a show.
What got you going? What got you up and going to it?
Because that is a drug, like the adrenaline of that and just conquering it and people laughing while I'm simultaneously working through all this hard shit and being able to talk about it and have this community of people that had similar problems to me.
Right.
And were, you know, the same kind of mess.
Right. So you kind of used it as a catharsis type of thing.
Totally.
Getting rid of the emotions.
Yeah. And something I think a lot of women...
Not only purging the dumps, purging the emotions.
Yeah. Something I think a lot of women don't ever want to admit to early on, your first couple years of comedy. Because people are creepy, and it's not a pleasant situation for women. But you also do get so much attention. Like, there's so much dick to pull from, you don't even, like, know where to start. And I know we're not supposed to ever be like, yeah, I liked that attention... But you do, kind of.
Of course, yeah.
It's like any other social circle where you're like in the minority in a good way.
Right.
Where there's focus on you.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, come back next week or whatever. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, you know?